Graft, 1988, 1985, 1979. Black and white makes any colour. You can make any colour from black and white. Red, green and blue also is the colours you can make any other colour from. People rack paint, take it, break in, trespass. Racking paint was meant having a load, otherwise saving up your change. When painting, you had to outline, and there were different types of outlines, whether it's a throw up, or if you intended to do a wall style or a blockbuster. Not all the time would you colour them in, but not all the time would you bother to throw up an outline. Depends on what you're going to do. When you've seen paint on trains, this was usually for walls. An outline meant getting a character and making some style that will be relevant to your status. But when painting, you cannot forget these characters can be hard to do, and so you'd have to consider what type of nozzles you would use in the paint, because there are some favourite types of paints like home style, burnt lack, hammerite, whilst duplicate colour was just the old boring job. When painting, you may well have got the outline you liked and the one you desire, but there is can control. If you consider the air in a can is compressed, and you have to control it through the nozzle to let it out. And you can get thin nozzles or fat nozzles, like on mini sprays. One problem when putting your outline onto a wall is the wind will blow your paint away. Some would say use an air gun, but then you need to be in confined spaces. It would be easier, but still you need an oxygen mask or gas mask and even goggles. Outlines, sketches and throw-ups all have their own way of being seen. There may be a style that's futuristic, you may have a sketch that's ripped off out of a comic, or you're just simply throwing up a tag. Because a tag is your nickname. And your nickname could be something known about you on the street, although others would put their address as well, way back. There's so many styles such as blockbuster and wall style. You have to consider that some of these were not meant to be read easily, whilst blockbuster was simply something to be seen and recognised. But the problem is, people will bite and rip off your art. Was art so good that people took it and took it into their own? So here you go with three-dimensional, making it hard and easier for you to make, but harder for them to rip off. Some art as it is known will come with shadows, stars, clouds, as you can see, bubbles. Where the shadows was to give some energy to the graffiti, whilst the stars were to, how you could say, make it look glorified, and the clouds just to take up space. Well, if you find a scene or a location where you can do graffiti, or your graph, your murals, you have to realise not all of them are legal. Some people often went around spraying graffiti in places such as subways, which wasn't legal. The location was usually a place where people could see it. But consider, just because you've got a location doesn't mean the scene is vibing. These days there's competitions, ways you can win money during graffiti. There's competitions where they'll pick out for a number of outlines which one will enter, and then you'll spray off against each other. But these competitions often have people who, like this chap, is a world record holder. so it's not so easy to win. He's in the world record at the moment, Goldie. So depending if you got a crew, like the Supreme Graffiti team, or you got a team, like the Foreign Legion, or you got a posse, like HNS, or you got a gang, like SWAT, or CIA, you know, there's many types of gangs, crews and teams out there, posses and so on. Now when mixing colour, you need to realise what will work with each other. You have to consider, some paint looks good with another paint whilst others don't. But as I said, red, green and blue always mixes any colour from that. But you're not likely to mix colour with spray, but you're likely to fade, cut, dissolve. And if you say fade is a mix, well then, the way it goes. Music, what goes with hip hop, such as the hip hop music and graffiti go together. They are a type of thing that go hand in hand. You have the hardcore hip hop, you have the hardcore graffiti. Now consider, spray can cost you between £3 and £8 a can. So you need to make your painting or drawing good before you start to decide on what you're going to spray on a wall. And it takes practice. Practice after practice after practice. You're not going to get the control of a can simply by picking it up and spraying, as you see in many places, because the compression has to be controlled. But one thing about it is, if you got wind or rain, you most likely will find your piece will not shine. Because that's one thing about graffiti. When you may think it's all about making a load of mess on the wall, it's about art, about murals, making your plane glisten. You know, no one goes around with an oxygen mask, gas mask and goggles just for fun. So after outline, sketches and throw-ups, you'll really be into your wall style, no matter what kind of blockbuster you're gonna deal in. But that's when you know people rip you off and bite your piece. The effects of shadows, as I said, will highlight your piece, and the stars can make it look impressive. The clouds usually have to take up space. So once you find your scene and you got your location, then a competition's on. So your crew, your team or your posse, you know you're out there, hold it down.